Let's take a few minutes to explore how EkkoSoft Critical can help us reduce thermal and power risk, save energy, meet ESG requirements, and plan for capacity changes in our data centers. When we log into EkkoSoft Critical, we will be greeted with global dashboards that will provide key site and room level data across our data center portfolio. First, let's go ahead and explore the alerting functionality by pulling up our alerts library to see what different types of alerts we can see in the software. Here, we can notice that there are 3 thermal alerts across our portfolio. We can drill down, see where those alerts exist, and we can also download a CSV containing all of the alert data. From here, let's take a look at some key site information. So this will pull up a window that will contain ESG KPIs, site power data, utilization metrics, and even weather data, so we can make a correlation between how the weather is affecting the performance at our sites. From here, we can drill into a site to see what rooms exist at this site, and we can pull up some key room information to see the total monitoring points that are live, environmental data, room level power data, and utilization metrics for the room itself. Let's go ahead and close out of this window and take a look at some trending data that we can see through this dashboard. We'll pull up the thermal data section. However, we can do the same trends for power data and utilization data. And what we're going to be looking at here are how the room conditions have changed over a period of time. So here we can see that we're doing a 1-day comparison. We can notice that some of the conditions have changed, such as this room's max temperature increasing by 5.5 degrees centigrade, but we could also view these metrics in degrees Fahrenheit depending on where we are in the world. We can also change up the comparison date range, so we can do a 30-day comparison, for example, and we'll be able to see how the conditions have changed over this 30-day period. We can view this data, and we can also download this data into a CSV file directly from this dashboard. Let's now explore a little bit further by expanding a site and pulling up one of our rooms to see the 3D digital twin. Once the room loads, we will land in the 3D view type, which we can turn and manipulate to view the room in different ways. We can also zoom in to an area and pan across until we have reached our desired angle. There are several different view types to choose from. The plan view provides a more traditional grid style view, whereas the first person view allows us to virtually walk through the room and simply look at different pieces of equipment to see key bits of data, such as this server rack. With the entire room expanded, we can immediately see what's going on from a thermal perspective. You can also select any object from the floor, such as this server rack, to get all of its data, which we can see on the right-hand side. We can also click on any one of the readings to load a graph of that selected data set. All of the graphs that are built in the platform are interactive. We can zoom in on a section to view it in more detail. We can hover over the lines to view the data points, and we can also download the graph into different image formats or download the raw data into different formats as well. We can do the same thing with other objects such as AC units. We can view all of the data on the right-hand side, as well as check important conditions of the AC units to ensure there are no cooling anomalies that are present. Now, we are collecting more data than we can see right now. So let's go ahead and switch up our visualizations by turning on some of our filters. We can visualize multiple types of data, such as the delta T through a rack, by turning on the inlet-outlet filter, as we can see here. Let's also take a look at the relative humidity levels across the room by utilizing the RH filter. You'll notice that a legend will appear in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen whenever we apply a new filter. To wrap up the rack visualizations, let's look at the power utilization to check measured power versus allocated power for capacity planning purposes. At any point, if we want to see the data without selecting an object, we can simply hover over it with our cursor to see the metrics. We can apply different filters to all objects in the platforms, such as cooling units. We can visualize just the supply or return temperatures. We can also visualize how much cooling each unit is currently delivering by turning on the utilization filter. And finally, we can visualize the typical behavior of the units by turning on the cooling trend, which will show us how they typically cycle throughout a 24-hour period. Let's take a look at how we can pull charts and run reports in the platform. There are many different types of graphs and reports we can generate depending on what data sets we want to capture. For this example, let's run an environmental report for the last 7 days. It's going to point out that we can customize the date range of the reports we run and also have them automatically sent to email groups of our choice. In the reports, there will be several different sections with graphs that we can download or download the data from the graphs. And we can scroll through each section to see all of the data sets that will be contained within the report that we chose to run. Because EkkoSoft Critical has been implemented throughout hundreds of sites around the world, we routinely update our platform to ensure we support the latest cooling strategies. In this example, we can see a flooded room utilizing fan wall arrays. Similarly, we can also accommodate other strategies such as in-row cooling units, overhead ducted cooling, and also liquid cooling architectures. Here, we can see the visualizations for direct-to-chip liquid-cooled server racks and immersion tanks. We can use the AI-driven cooling advisor to get recommendations on how we can better improve our current environment by reducing thermal risk and saving cooling energy. We can customize certain fields such as our redundancy level and choose what types of recommendations we wish to see. Then all we have to do is press Start Optimization and the software will generate our list of recommended tasks. First, we will see different supply tile tasks on our list in this example. The software will recommend adding supply tiles, removing or even closing supply tiles to help with airflow and to reduce hotspots that may exist throughout the room. We can choose to accept or reject any task on the list depending on our wants or needs. Once we are happy with the supply tile placements, we can move on to our ACU recommendations. The software will recommend changing set points, changing fan speeds, and even turning units on or off to drive cooling energy savings. Let's now switch gears and take a look at the electrical side of the equation by pulling up our site view and exploring the 3D electrical and mechanical one-line diagram. In this view, we can quickly see all of the real-time data from our electrical distribution system, from the generators and main incomers down to the room-level power distribution equipment. We can select any object from the one line, such as this PDU or an upstream UPS, to view its trace, as well as see its key data points that we are monitoring. Similarly to the other objects we explored before, we can graph any of the readings that we are collecting to view the data in different ways. Let's take a look at the power readings to view how this UPS load has been trending, and it looks pretty stable, so there's nothing to be concerned with here. There are many graphs and reports that are specific to the power distribution systems that we can select to run or automatically send out to an email group, such as power usage reports, capacity information, and out-of-the-box ESG reports so we can easily report on our sustainability metrics. Let's go ahead and generate the ESG reports for the last year. And once the reports load, we can review the data that has been collected over the selected period of time and take advantage of the insights presented to us, such as reviewing our PUE metrics and how the changing weather has affected the site-wide performance, how our carbon usage is trending and has changed over time, how effectively we have used our water in our facility, or how efficiently we have been running our cooling infrastructure. Finally, let's explore how we can use the AI-driven capacity planning tool to free up stranded capacity or plan for new load additions in the room. When the tool loads, we can get a quick glimpse of our available space, current IT load, and all capacity reservations on the right-hand side of the screen. When we look at the bottom of the screen, we can see our capacity guides and figure out how much cooling and power capacity we have available left in the room. We can see that there are 68.4 kilowatts of cooling available for us, so let's raise a ticket and plan to add some more load into the environment. In the ticketing system, we can track different changes such as adding new racks, adding equipment to a rack, removing equipment from a rack, and also decommissioning a rack. Then, we'll set our power requirements, choose our power type, and plan for when we expect to make the change. Now that we've added a ticket, let's figure out where it is safe to place a new rack in the room by completing our risk-free drag and drop simulation to check for where the software accepts or rejects the placement due to limitations of our available space or cooling. As we can see, the software is rejecting the addition to go here, and I can see that there is enough open space, so I know it's being rejected due to a lack of cooling availability in this area. So let's plan to place it somewhere else instead to ensure the change doesn't negatively affect our environment. Thank you for taking the time to learn about how EkkoSoft Critical can help reduce thermal and power risk, save energy, meet ESG requirements, and plan for capacity changes in your data centers. To book your own personal demo with our team, please visit www.ekkosense.com/demo.